Hello, friends, and before we start this interview with a man who's at the very top of Moldovan politics, Yuri Roshka, I just wanted to give a little bit of a warning. Now, I want to say that Yuri has very, very different views and a very, very different way of looking at things in the world that a lot of the guests we've had here have. And that isn't to say he's not going to come on here and tell CNN and BBC talking points. There's no point in that. Like, there's kind of a point in listening to different sides of an issue, but we all get to hear the mainstream media. We've heard their talking points. Yuri kind of has his own take on things. And for those of you who are really big fans of, let's say, a particular Russian president, ooh, he might make you mad. So this is a little bit of grain of salt warning, guys, and a little bit of an explanation why I'm going to have someone on with such radically different views. Because I never want this channel or anything I do to turn into some like drum beating propaganda where we all have to stand in line and all say the same things and have relatively the same beliefs. No. That's not interesting. That's not helpful to anyone. So anyways, guys, enjoy part one of our interview with Yuri Roshka. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Kirby Russia. Today we have quite an honored guest. Yuri Roshka is here, and he was the Deputy Prime Minister and Vice President of the Moldovan Parliament. So, Yuri, thank you very much for being with us. He's going to talk to us about everything related to Moldova, and actually a lot more, because Yuri and I had a very exciting sort of pre-interview where we discussed a lot of stuff. So, but anyways, first off, Yuri, you kind of wanted to make it clear to the audience that apparently there are people who are against you, that you've faced criminal prosecution in multiple countries, that there are people trying to cancel your views even within Russia. So first, let's talk about you as a person. Why are so many people against you?
Yeah, it's very easy to understand. I am professional oppositioner. I started my career as a dissident in Soviet period, in Perestroika period. I used to be street fighter. I used to be a person involved in clandestine printing of news leaflets and newspapers in Perestroika period. I used to be anti-communist, anti-Soviet element, yeah. And I was one of the leaders of a national movement here in Moldova. And after that, I became leader of party, and for a fourth time, I used to be a member of parliament and deputy chairman of parliament twice. I used to be a member of delegations of our parliament in the European Parliament and Parliamentarian Assembly of NATO, European Council, and so on. I was pretty everywhere in the United States and Canada, in all European countries, and even in the Muslim countries, yeah. And initially, I was the most close friend of Americans and Europeans. When I used to be anti-communist, I was every single day on Free Europe, VOA, Voice of America, BBC. Every single day I talked about against communism, yeah? And when I discovered 15 or 20 years ago, the real face, the real essence of liberalism, of capitalism, of American empire, I was obliged to say about it. I published many articles and several books in explaining this very specific trajectory of ex-communist political activists and thinkers and journalists and so on. And now I am enemy number one for collective West here in the Republic of Moldova. Why? Because I have enough experience and academical preparation to explain my point of view, my approach. It's not just to be against the gay movement or to be against American hegemony. No, I am professional publisher. I published a lot of books. Alexander Dugin from Russia, Nikolai Starikov from Russia, my friends, philosophers, sociologists from or economists from France, and so on. That's why it's not so easy to resist. Why? Because here in Moldova, we have for the second time, we could say, starting from 2009, we have pro-Western governances. Yeah, every single team is trying to exercise pressure against me to launch some criminal persecution actions and so on. I have another case. During 5 years, I am under pressure, under persecution, and now my case is in court, but it could be for 10 years. I don't know.
So the thing is, hold on. When you were a young man, so was the enemy you were fighting against, it was communism, or was the enemy you were fighting against was Russia?
Not Russia, Soviet Union.
Well, no, of course you were in the Soviet Union, but I mean...
No. Yeah. We have to understand the difference between Russia and Soviet Union. If you want to understand deeper, I translated 10 or 12 articles of great Russian philosopher, Orthodox philosopher, Ivan Ilyin. Ivan Ilyin, he has written many articles about it. He has a special series of articles. The name is Советский Союз не Россия. USSR is not Russia. We have to understand the meaning of coup d'etat of 1917 and the Red Terror and so on. It remains anti-Russian regime during 73 years. I know in Russia we have enough people who maintain this naive interpretation of Soviet period. It's a kind of Sovietolatry. But you cannot be Orthodox, you cannot be a member of Russian people and a traditional thinker, and at the same time to be pro-Soviet. It's a contradiction in terms. But there was a question concerning myself. I discovered, thanks to my capacity to read a lot of books in English, in French, in Romanian, and in Russian. I discovered very simple question. We discussed with Dugin and others many times. Communism and liberalism are the same spiritual, ideological, and political theory. They are complementary. They are not in opposition between them. They are coming from Illuminism, Enlightenment, and French Revolution. Who is in favor of French Revolution is anti-Russian, is anti-Romanian, is anti-national. This is a way of thinking of traditional people. That's why I became anti-liberal. My articles, my conferences, my public speeches, my books, my friends from abroad, we are concentrated in fight against American empire and its networks in our continent, in European continent. It's a common conservative traditional movement, anti-establishment, anti-mainstream media, anti Soros networks and so on. It's absolutely normal. I discovered in last period many people from Georgia, from Armenia, from Poland, from Romania, who used to be anti-communists and who became naturally, organically anti-liberals, anti-collective West. This is that's why I am prohibited on mass media in the Republic of Moldova, in Romania, and I am not a very pleasant person for Russian propaganda. Why? Because to be able to speak on Russian TV stations, you have to be part of Russian propaganda. You have to be yes man, and it is not for me. I am in favor of Russia. We are part of the same continental, traditional, orthodox, profound civilization.
Yeah.
We are saying Byzantine model. Yeah, we are the same. We are, our collective identity, first of all, is religious, and after that, national, ethnical, linguistical. It is the same story. Russia, Moldova, Romania, and other countries of our region. But it is not necessary to be part of Kremlin propaganda. But all TV stations from current Russia are obliged to be the continuation of official propaganda. If I am seeing on this war in Ukraine, and I cannot be very happy when I am able to discover different aspects which are showing very vulnerable capacity to rule this war on behalf of Russian administration. Why I cannot talk about it? No, when somebody called me from Russia, they are waiting only the discourse of S-men. Yuri, are you agree with us? No. Oh, sorry.
Well, yeah, that's a real big part of Russian life. Like I tell a lot of foreign people that you won't really.
I have any problem, but you just asked why I am not present in Russian press.
Yeah.
Because I am not part of Russian propaganda, not Russian, of official propaganda. I am not so. I am not in conflict with them. But anyhow, I used to build Romanian version of Sputnik Moldova. I was invited several years ago. All people who are working there are my disciples. Yeah. I was so present in Sputnik Moldova radio and press agency as a speaker, as a person who has enough experience and knowledge about politics and so on, geopolitics. But when I started to criticize Igor Dodon, former president of Moldova, who used to be a favorite of Putin, it's finished. When I started to launch some critical accents concerning this war in Ukraine, it's finished. I am prohibited. It's impossible because all people like in Soviet period or like in America today,
unfortunately,
must say the same slogans. It's not for me. That's why I am present only in internet. My blog is prohibited by security services here. My seat, Flux, Flow. In Romanian, in English is Flow. Flux MD. My blogs, Yuri Roshka MD and Roshka MD, were blocked by official order of Director of Secret Service of Moldova on 10 March last year. Because of propaganda of war, because I am not in favor of invasion of collective West against us and against Russia too. That's why I am permanently under their surveillance, and pressure. At the same time, I am not so present on Russian media.
Well, yeah, and I think that's why, with going back to orthodoxy, why we have to think about like the saints, because all of the saints generally suffered very horribly because they stood for the truth. And that's kind of the thing we have to do, because trust me, Yuri, I'll put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised. I have a pretty good career in Russia, but I wouldn't be surprised if I could have a very, very good career if I said the word yes more often, as you were saying. You see what I mean? Because I definitely think that there can be in Russia, there's this very deep desire amongst even normal Russians to sort of determine who's with us and who's against us. I think it's really part of the culture. And
no, it's not. Excuse me, Tim. Just to complete your way of thinking in this aspect. Dugin has an excellent academical book, ethnosociology, and he is explaining that every single person, every single people
Yeah.
has the same perception. We, our collective identity, and others.
Yeah.
Others permanently are in the
Lower,
level.
worse, bad. Yeah.
Uh, they are not like us. We are normal people, and others are,
Well, yeah.
yeah, another. So it's not about only about Russian collective identity. No, all people are the same perception. Americans are enough, arrogant enough. Englishmen, the same story. Romanians, the same story. Hungarians, the same story. Not because they are bad, because it's normal. We are we, and others are others.
Now, so let's then get back, because you were talking about where you're kind of on these different sides of the line. So why don't you tell us what you believe to be the truth? What is actually happening with the geopolitics around Moldova? Because from the very beginning of the war in Ukraine, I knew that something was going to happen in Moldova, because there's the whole situation with Pridnestrovia, there's Gagauzia that you guys have, which is always sort of a little bit of a hot point, and you're pretty much ultimately surrounded by NATO, who wants to provoke and antagonize Russia. So it looked to me from the very beginning that you guys are in a really tough situation there. But you tell us, what is the real geopolitical situation in Moldova in 2023?
Look, first of all, you have to know that our state governance or administration is occupational one. We are talking about Soros network. Every single person who is in important state position is from Soros network. All of them. Secret Service, President, Prime Minister, Speaker, Ministers, others, and so on. So it's not only in the Republic of Moldova. In many countries, the same story. And that's why Moldova is used by collective West against Russia, and Moldova became part of total war against Russia during this Russian special intervention in Ukraine. That's why I am in this unpleasant situation when the Secret Service insisted to prosecutor office to open new criminal cases against me, and prosecutors are in very difficult situation. Why we have to persecute Kirby Russia, who used to be dignitary in our country and who just talking. He is not a violent person. He is launching his point of view and analysis and so on. This is a real situation. And in the meantime, it is very interesting to know, to understand our so-called opposition. I don't know why. In opposition, the biggest party, thanks to Russian administration support, is very strange party. The name of this party is Shor Party. Shor is family name. Ivan Shor is Moldovan oligarch who was born in Israel, and then in 2019 he was obliged to refugiate himself in Israel, and his party remains here. He is the main actor of the biggest corruption scandal in the Republic of Moldova. $1 billion was stolen from our national bank. 3 private banks were destroyed by former governance. And now another oligarch who controlled and who is partner of this young oligarch who is in Israel is Vladimir Plahotniuc. Vladimir Plahotniuc used to be the most important gangster here in the Republic of Moldova. He controlled till 2019 all state institutions, and after very special operation of Russians and Americans, the government, which used to be under Plahotniuk's control, was dismissed. And in that moment, Plahotniuk, Vladimir Plahotniuk, the great oligarch, yeah, mad person, yeah, bad guy, and Ilan Shor, they were obliged to abandon the Republic of Moldova. Yeah, Plahotniuk now is in Turkey under Erdogan's protection, and Ilan Shor is in Israel. This party, why they are so successful? Because their budget has no limits. A huge amount of money is injected in this business project with the political appearances. Yeah, all protests, street protests. You saw protests during 1 year here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's been a lot.
Street protests and Russian propaganda, Russia Today, televisions, other TV stations, Sputnik, first of all, became part of this game. In this very strange interpretation, we have here in Moldova the governance who is part of collective West.
Yeah.
And in opposition, we have pro-Russian party. It's not true. In opposition, you have mercenaries who are paying to ordinary people to participate on these street demonstrations. And demonstrations are motivated because we have very, very bad economical and social situation, and the prices for gas and for electricity and so on is difficult to resist. It's true. But we are talking about special political marketing. This kind of oligarchs, they have not any ideology. Their ideology is money. They need power to make money. That's it.
Well, then for them, what's the problem with Sandu's Moldova? Can't they make money with Sandu in power?
No. We cannot talk in this very simplistic way. Who is better, current governance or current opposition? We have to understand in this political fauna, we have not positive personages. We have to understand deeper this situation. If you want, we have to be open and honest. According to my information, to my sources, it exists very special link between some people who are very close to Mr. President Putin and this oligarchs party. It's very strange because Plahotniuk was condemned in Russia for several years for different economical crimes, and at the same time, the party of his partner, Shor, is now the most important party for Russia. Why? Nothing personally, only business. For people who is around Putin and for people who is behind of our so-called anti-Western opposition. They are not anti-Western. They are not pro-Russian. They are not anything. They are pro their money. Dirty money. That's it. And other parties, like Communist Party with old president of this party, former president of Moldova, Vladimir Voronin, or Socialist Party with former president Igor Dodon, they are now satellites of this huge political project, Ilan Shor Party. What it means? Which kind of ideology? Party which is the doctrine of this party or the ideology is Ilan Shor. Which kind of orientation? Geopolitical, ideological, cultural, economical? Which kind of vision?
Something
on economics,
on Israel.
Realpolitik, yeah. That's why we have to you have to understand other parties. We have many parties. 60, 70, I don't know exactly. But we have only governance and opposition, which is motivated by revenge. Oligarchs are trying to destroy this power to come back to Moldova and to be once again power of Moldova, governance of Moldova, only to make money. This is a problem. And this simplistic way of interpretation or approach in our case, for me, is very unpleasant, because I am seeing every single day very strong propaganda on behalf of Kremlin mass media network. And
but if we
of
look
course
at
we can
hold on 1 second. But if we look at human history, I mean, isn't that kind of the way it always is? Isn't the wealthy elite sort of always in there to maintain their own wealth and elite status in all systems?
I agree with you. Starting with the French Revolution, we are living on plutocracy. Plutocracy, which is named Pharisaically democracy, liberal democracy. It doesn't exist. It exists only the dominance of capital, the dominance of economics, which subordinated politics. Politics doesn't exist today. We have only formal state administration, which is subordinated by oligarchs everywhere, in the United States, in Russia, in Moldova, in Romania, in France. So some or several Muslim countries and China. And in liberal democracies, even in democracies which are copy-paste, here in the ex-communist area, we have copy-paste of Western model, political, juridical, economical. The structure of society is only a copy-paste of Western model. That's why we have the dominance of capital, which is ruling countries, parties, mass media, which is manipulated naive people, masses, and so on.
Well, is Russia in the same situation then? Because Russia was a direct copy of the West in 1991 for sure. Is it still that way?
And it remains. Russia remains. If you believe that Putin decide something in Russia, it's not so serious. We have the cluster of oligarchs which are supporting Putin, and who are controlling natural resources, banking system, public administration, secret services, even Russian Ministry for Defense. All the rest is only propaganda, only illusion.
Well, if that's true, then why did the war happen? Because wouldn't all of those oligarchs have supported the West then to stay in the Western system and sort of keep, the money flowing and keep everything nice and stable and all that?
Okay. First of all, every serious people, and I am talking about Valentin Katasonov, who I know personally very well.
The economist?
Economist and the orthodox thinker. Mikhail Delyagin, Mikhail Khazin, and others with whom I talked personally, and I am following their way of thinking and their articles, their public statements. We have to recognize that they are right. Russia remains a semi-colony of other powers, other countries. Russia used to be Banana Republic of Western Europe. Now Russia became Banana Republic of China. That's it. In this tandem we have China, and under China we have Russia. It's not my affirmation. It's a reality, geopolitical reality. Another aspect why this war happened. Because we have the same story like in the last period of Soviet Empire. We have gerontocracy, very high level, who was attracted in this trap. For Russia is the second Afghanistan. Ukraine is prepared to be the second Afghanistan for Russian Federation. Why? Of course, Anglo-Saxon or collective West elaborated this strategy, and they attacked permanent coup d'etat. If you want, we can start from coup d'etat in 2014
Well, we've
in
talked a
Kiev.
lot about that on our channel. I think most of our
No, no,
viewers kind of know what
just
you're
a
talking
second,
about.
just a second, just a second. I know the vision of Russian propaganda, but who can say today with serious position that Putin and his administration was right to recognize Poroshenko as legitimate power? First mistake. The second mistake.
Well, a lot of people said that was a big mistake
No, no,
at
no.
the time.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
That's why Anglo-Saxon Empire, collective West, was much more wiser, cleverer than Russian administration. First mistake. The second, Minsk negotiations. Yeah, Minsk 1, Minsk 2. The third mistake, 8 years of pause, 8 years of doing nothing. Crimea, where was became part of Russia, and Donbass. Who is a traitor of Donbass? Me? No. You? No.
Well,
Excuse me. And after 8 years, you launched this special military operation, and where is the result? After 1 year, zero. Only many victims. Now every single normal political
well, the argument to that would be, the counter argument would be that in 2014, if Russia would have went in, it would have lost because the sanctions would have destroyed the economy. Russia needed time to adapt and grow and this, that, and
I
the
have
other.
a response for it also. The problem of Russian establishment, of Russian governance, is not lack of patriotic convictions, intimate convictions, intentions.
Okay.
I am not talking about it. The problem is liberal virus here in their heads. Putin is not conservative. Putin is liberal. His team, who is responsible for economical and financial bloc, are liberals. They are spies of collective West. Siluanov, Madame Nabulina, others, Kudrin, former Minister of Finance. It's not my argumentation, it's argumentation of very serious thinkers and experts in economics from Russia. Another aspect. The obsession of Russia is to be part of international community and to respect all rules which were imposed by collective West. Just several examples. Where is economical model of Russia? Why Russia is not a protectional economy? Where is economic nationalism or sovereignism? Where sovereignty? Nothing. Only commerce. Only we have to sell our gas, our everything. It means to be primitive economy, which depends on exports, exactly banana republic of Western Europe and the United States.
But one of the reasons that Russia was able to survive, especially like at first the 2008 war, and then with the Maidan and the initial sanctions, was the fact that there's so much more to Russia than besides.
You don't understand. You don't understand.
Maybe I don't.
No. Listen to me. 1 minute. 30 seconds. To understand, we have to recognize that the biggest mistake of post-Soviet Russia is to respect all rules of WTO, of IMF. Jeffrey Sachs, who is economical killer of Russia, is now officially an expert for Russia in the United Nations for Nord Stream investigations.
Yeah, well, the United Nations is kind of a joke, but yeah, I can imagine that.
I don't know. Look, when you have an economy or you have natural resources, all possible natural resources in your territory, when you have very smart and serious nation, why you have to sell your natural resources. You have to use your natural resources for yourself, for reindustrialization, for your infrastructure, for your economy, to develop your business. And we have hundreds of oligarchs, billionaires, and people, small and medium enterprises in Russia is like this. We have business in agriculture, where is a normal structure of this part of economy. Only agro-business like United States. Who is controlling National Bank of Russia? Central Bank.
Well,
Russian governance? No.
No.
Why? Because after Yeltsin's period, Putin's administration didn't change constitution and international relations of Russia. I am not talking about rhetorics. I am talking about geopolitical and economical relations. The naivety of this team was to integrate themselves on collective West.
Yeah.
And now they discovered, collective West don't like us. We have to change our master and to become subordinated of China. We have not our choice, sovereign choice of Russia. You have to look on structure of commerce or commercial bilateral relations between China and Russia.
Well,
which kind of products coming from Russia to China, and which kind of products coming from China to Russia? Russia, natural resources, China, final products. It means we have to make a distinction between colony, economical colony, and sovereign industrialized strong nation.
Yeah.
This is a difference. And these all decorations, triumphalist speeches, it's only propaganda. Propaganda.
Let me then put it this way. Back when America was still the colonies, there was this sort of triangle of trade of natural resources from the American colonies go to England, and a lot of times the English would make stuff to send back to the colonies. Then there was the slavery in Africa, and it kind of formed this triangle. But for the most part, the American colonies were exploited in that way. But then, later on, America started to produce stuff. And if you go to a hardware store in Russia, everything is made here. A lot of things are made here now. The colonial model, I don't think, when you look at what's produced in Russia, doesn't match up because so much is produced here. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can kind of say what you're saying of like, well, why are we giving away all this amazing energy to other people? Well, does Russia even have the capacity to use it?
It's not my problem. I just told about my opinion. I am not Russian citizen. It's not my business. If you want, we can change our subject. We can speak about Moldova.
No, I'm listening.
I'm
listening. I'm just trying to throw in some counterpoints. And well, here's one. Like you mentioned that Russia you said, I think was I forget the word you used, but in connection with the IMF. Well, like one of the things is that, well, then why the IMF model is you go to a poor country, you get one of their oligarchs to approve taking out huge IMF loans that they can never take back. So the oligarch gets wealth. The IMF gets this sort of invisible control over said country, right? And that's the mechanism. But in Russia doesn't have national debt anymore. And I think the IMF is actually banned from being here physically.
I agree. And Russia is investing on American treasuries during 30 years.
Yes.
Okay?
That is correct.
We have Central Bank of Russia, which is now under the same chief, Madame Nabiulina, for the third time. I have to remember you, 1 year ago, Mr. Volodin, who is head of Duma of Russia, Parliament of Russia, had an official statement before this lady was proposed for the third time by Putin. He said about more than 300 billion of dollars, which were sequestrated or commodity, how to say it in English, by collective West after the Russian intervention in Ukraine. And Volodin said, we have to open criminal case against leaders of chiefs of central bank, Nabiulina and others.
Mm-hmm.
It was an official statement. After several days, Mr. Putin recommended the same person for the third time. Why? Because not Putin decided what to do with the Russian administration. All people, normal people, all political analysts, all normal experts in economy, like this. My God. Once again, why? She is the most important key person for collective West.
Then how did? Well, okay, I don't necessarily disagree with you because trust me, all of the major economists that you mentioned by name, they all hate Nabiulina, like universally, right? They all think that she has a very destructive influence, that the central bank is as destructive for Russia as the Federal Reserve is for America. Okay,
Yeah.
but then if she's the real power, how did this whole sanctions war thing happen? Because now the central bank, after 30 years, now isn't buying U.S. treasuries anymore. You see what I mean? Like, let me put it this way: if
Last year,
like,
yeah,
if we,
last year, excellent,
yeah,
last year. But people who did it, they are remaining in power. This is a problem.
yes, but
Why?
that's the mystery. Now, here, I just want to say that let's make a little comparison. A country like Russia that seems to have some sort of conflict within it, things change. You know, there seems to be some sort of fight for power. If we look at countries like, I don't know, Germany or the Netherlands or whatever, they
In
don't
Russia
make
doesn't
any
exist
changes.
fight of
They're
power for power.
what?
Excuse me. In Russia doesn't exist fight for power. In Russia doesn't
Then why
exist.
fight in Ukraine? Why not just agree to all this? If there's no actual historical process happening.
No, the war in Ukraine is just an historical accelerator.
Okay.
Yeah, which will change everything in Russia and Europe and in the world. It depends who will win.
Yeah.
It depends who will win. Now, all of us are waiting the counter-offensive of Ukrainian, so-called Ukrainian, Western military power against Russian army. Will resist Mr. Prigozhin and some volunteers who are fighting there. I don't know why Russian army is not participating. Who can explain it? I don't know, but I'm seeing it. And if Russia will lose this very important operation, after that we will see what will happen. But you have to return. I am older a little bit than you.
Yeah.
I lived in USSR. I used to be in Komsomol. I know what it means Soviet партийная советская номенклатура. Soviet nomenclatura. Communist Party, Komsomol, KGB. Unfortunately, the establishment of current Russia is the same story. They are former Komsomolists, they are former communists, they are former KGB guys. They are gerontocrats. They cannot react adequately in the new geopolitical reality. That's why we have Ministry for Defense, who is not military. We have 6 or 7 Deputy Minister for Defense, and nobody from them used to be military, and so on and so on. That's why every single normal person in this world was shocked by discovering that Russia is not occupying or liberating Ukraine in several weeks. We have to be honest. Where is Russian aviation? Where is Russian tanks? Where is Russian regular army? Where is military result? Nothing.
Well, where is the regular army? There's a few theories as to why, but Russia only dedicated something like 15% of its forces to this fight. I think in the expectation that there'd be more fronts opening up, that there might be World War III.
Look, you know very well, like me and others, if Ukrainians will lose, the second step of collective West will be Poland and Romania.
For what?
Poland and Romania. That's why
What do you mean?
Russia needs
To do what? To attack Russia?
to intervene in favor of Ukraine.
I see.
And it would be formally perfectly legal action. Perfectly legal. If Zelensky will invite them. That's why all normal people understand. If Russia wasn't able to make very quick blitzkrieg, now it is very difficult to avoid the scenario of the second Afghanistan. I am not talking about the third world war and so on, and the risk of atomic disasters. No, it's every single day Russia is using its military and economical resources.
Yeah.
China will not support military directly Russia.
Yeah.
Only Iran and probably Northern Korea will offer some military technical support. That's it. And if you allow me, I have to remember you that 2 or 3 resolutions which was adopted in Parliamentary Assembly of United Nations against Russia received a large majority of votes. For Russia, we have Nicaragua, we have Venezuela, we have Northern Korea, we have probably Uganda.
Yeah.
5 or 6 nations. It's a diplomatic catastrophe for Russia. Because if now we are talking about great friend of Russia, China, where is the vote of China in the UN? Why? Because China has commercial relations with the US about 600 billions.
Well, yeah.
Billions of dollars.
Well, yeah.
Billions of dollars every single day. Yesterday, Putin and Xi mentioned that commercial relations between China and Russia, it's about 100, less than 200 billion dollars.
Yeah.
Collective West, 1 trillion and more than 400 billions dollars. Can China renounce to commercial relations with the collective West in favor of Russia? Of course not. Can China help Russia military? Not. Probably secretly, like contraband or secret, but directly, no. Even by statements, no. When China proposed on 24th February their plan for pacification, it means really the capitulation of Russia. Russia cannot stop this war. Russia can win or lose.
I understand that, but then, because that's in China's interests for everything to go back to business as normal. Okay, that's what they want. I get that. But then the thing is, why didn't Washington accept that if it means that Russia loses?
We have to listen the interpretation of very important analyst, expert in Chinese problems, Andrei Devyatov, Colonel Andrei Devyatov.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Talking to Maxim Shevchenko, he explained, we Europeans and Americans, we are interpreting this word for 2 parts, me and my enemy, me and my partner. Chinese has the version of Trinity. We, our allies, and our enemies. When China said we are for peace, why Americans said we don't agree? To determine Russian establishment, it's a stratagema, it's a trick. It's a special operation to manipulate Russian establishment. if China is in favor of peace, we will say, no, we don't agree. It means Russia maybe will accept Chinese plan, and after that, capitulation.
So it's something that it's something that childish that, like, basically because America said bad, that makes it good. It's that on that childish level of thinking.
Absolutely, because we have a total political infantilism. Nothing strategic thinking is totally absent in the Russian establishment today. Listen to me. We have only several weeks, maybe 1 month, maybe 2, not more, and we will see if Putin and his administration, this gerontocracy, is able to reinvent themselves and to win in this war. If in this war we cannot have half of victory. Russia, I mean, Russia cannot have we now have some new territories and we will finish the war. No. If they are stopping the war, it means the last day of power of Putin's administration. Why these people sacrificed their lives? We have 4 regions which formally became part of Russian Federation. And what happens after that? We have the same situation.
Yeah, it'll be the same killings, just there'll be less territory to kill people on.
And we have to recognize current Russia has not enough political will, army, technical preparation, economical power to win categorically in this war. Why? If you want one argument, China doesn't agree the continuation of this war. And how to solve it? It is not about commerce. It's not about commercial relations. It's about war.
Well, one of the reasons given as to why things are the way they are, one of the sort of official reasons from Russia, is that Ukraine, because so many people there are essentially our people, our Russian people, we couldn't just go in there and just destroy everything. That the idea of just unloading, 1,000,000 caliber missiles and hypersonic missiles and just leveling the entire country into a burnt field isn't an option. And that's one of the reasons why this war is so slow, because it has to be fought with minimal casualties. It has to be fought in a careful way. They had to eventually, shut down the Ukrainian electricity in order to kind of scare people away from the front, this, that, and the other.
Tim.
Yeah.
Only 2 figures.
140 to
Russian
40?
population, Ukrainian population, about. Plus, minus. Russian population.
Yeah.
You look the difference? Why? We have 1 year without any military success. We have
because they couldn't just kill them all. Because they couldn't just go in there and melt the place.
I have to show you another figure.
This is where I'm pretty open-minded, but I'm not so sure about this one.
No, it's not necessary to agree with me. It's only my opinion. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Look, another figure. You look.
It's a 1 and 3 to 5. Yeah.
What it means? All military students know if you are the part who are starting the war, and you have to have very quick offensive. Comment on dit en français, en anglais? Your intention is to move forward your troops on the territory of another country. You have to be 3 or better 5 times more as military effective as real men present on battlefield.
To attack.
To attack, and we have quite every segment of front Russians less than Ukrainians. Why? And why Mr. Prigozhin is obliged, like during the First World War, to attack frontally Ukrainians? Where is aviation? Where is artillery? Where is tactics? Where is strategy?
I don't know. There's a lot
Every
of
single
videos of
day.
artillery explosions, man. That's what. Where's the artillery?
No.
And the
I
reports
am
of
not
how
expert.
the Russians use so many
it's
more
another
shells
question.
than Ukrainians per
You are
day.
in Russia. For you is more difficult. I am free man. It's
Okay.
my vision. I apologize, but I am very afraid if Russia will lose. It's a catastrophe for all of us, for all our countries. Yeah, I
Of
hope
course.
that Russia will win. I don't know how with current governance. But another aspect, we know that British and Americans, first of all, and their satellites, they have enough strategic thinking. I don't believe that they are started this war against Russia, total war against Russia, to stop it on the half of this way. No, they will follow their objective, because we have in Russia very strong fifth and so-called cum se spune, fifth column,
Yeah.
fifth column, internal enemies on administration, on army, on secret services, oligarchs, Kremlin mafia, Kirienko, others, Vaino, I don't know. You can explain for yourself, not for me, not for your audience, why the most important economical killer, Kirienko, who destroyed Russian ruble and who provoked economical crisis in 1998, now is the second figure in Kremlin administration. You have a normal explanation? I don't have. Why this person was in key positions during 20 years? Chief of Rosatom, chief of regions. Now he is the second person in Putin's administration. Who is boss there, Putin or Kirienko? I don't know.
Well, one of the explanations for that people give is that in a lot of ways, loyalty and familiarity are vastly more important than anything else a lot of times in government. That they're sort of these people that they know.
Who is loyal, who is boss, and who is subordinated, we will discover one day.
Yeah.
The appearances, another question. Believe me, I knew very well our establishment on this miniature version, Moldova. I used to be in many countries, not like tourists, and discussed with many prime ministers, presidents, MPs, and so on and so on and so on. That's why I am speaking so freely, because I know how is organized real power, not formal administration. This is a problem, not only for Russia. Generally, who is deciding, not who is announcing the decisions and making official speeches.
Yeah. Well, everyone knows that. In fact,
we are talking about Russia. Maybe we have to speak about Moldova. I will see how to say it in English, but Bermuda Triangle, Republic of Moldova.
Triangle.
Triangle. We now Moldova is situated geopolitically between Russia and collective West. Collective West in our region is presented formally by Romania, which is also under Western occupation. Military, media, economical occupation. It's colony, total colony. Russia is semi-colony. That's why I am speaking practically every single day about situation in Russia, about situation in Romania, and not only about internal situation of Moldova. We are country of frontier between West and East. In several weeks or months, Republic of Moldova can disappear totally, because somebody in Western centers of power, of influence, probably decided to absorb Republic of Moldova by Romania, not because it's our golden dream of Romanian nation. It is very true. We are the same nation, the same language, the same culture, the same history.
Yeah.
But it is only pretext, because the interest of Atlantis is to move forward their army on Dniester River. And nobody can stop it if Russia will become weaker than today.
Yeah.
Transnistria will disappear in one day without any military confrontation if Putin's administration will lose this war.
So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video and you like the opinions coming out of my big fat mouth, then join up on my Telegram channel. That's Tim Kirby Hardcore on Telegram. Link, of course, in the description.